And then we have that middle circle, that red circle. That's that red alert. You're in it now, man. You're doing it. And so we're going to go through how to fill this out and how to work on this. But before we do, Mark, did you have any questions, comments, concerns?
You had me at Photon Torpedo, zoning out, and then you brought me back in.
Don't make me speak Klingon, bro.
Dude.
I can't speak Klingon. I can't.
I'm not sure if you're joking or not.
I can't. I'm like mid-tier dork. Like I can't quite get myself to like showing up to Comic-Con dressed up. I'm not quite there, but like there's definitely a piece of me that wants to be that kind of person.
Well, we could do a live stream from Comic-Con at some point.
Don't do it to me.
And we could do mental health assessments on the fly, judging costumes. Like, yep. Bipolar, depression, daddy issues.
No. Oh no. We might do an episode around Batman villains, and we can kind of do that. You're joking, but we could do that sort of.
The cage now. Be the lion you was destined to be. Born ready for the war, now my effort is free. The level's been set, time to wrestle the beast. Testing my G, it's getting heavy indeed. The struggle I embrace now, never retreat. I see the test as a blessing indeed. I'm taking steps on the treacherous peak. Now it's destined to be. I'm on my destiny's feet. Shine with the one piece.
Welcome to the Lion Counseling Podcast. I'm Mark Odland, founder of Lion Counseling and certified EMDR therapist.
And I'm Zack Carter, counselor and coach.
And our mission is to help men to break free, to heal deep, and become the lions they were created to be. Today, we're going to teach you how to create a roadmap for sobriety. And make sure to hang on to the end because Zack's got some practical takeaways that you can put into practice right away. If you're looking for support, check us out at escapethecagenow.com. And we've got a challenge for you right away. Zack here, he doesn't think that you guys are capable of subscribing within the next 3 seconds.
No.
He just has his doubts.
It's a physical impossibility. Yes, physical impossibility
Zack,
to do it within 3 seconds.
Give them some credit. Give these guys, these are
I don't believe they can
men,
do it.
but they're listening. One, time's up. We'll see what happened.
Okay, we'll find out.
All right.
They're like, wait, I was distracted.
All right. On that note, now that we're over that genius ploy to get more subscribers, in all
That's not what we're
seriousness,
doing.
It does help us. We're not doing that.
No, we're not.
Psychology.
We're not manipulating. No,
We're not.
we would never do that.
Never.
Never.
We're counselors and therapists. We don't do that kind of thing.
We're professionals. Yes. We have no shame.
Joking aside, it does help us grow our channel. And we've got good steam, but we're still building. And we really appreciate you guys supporting. So with that being said, let's get into it. Zack, sobriety, that's something that's on most guys' minds, even if they don't quote unquote have a full-blown addiction. Most of us struggle with bad habits, for lack of a better term, that get in the way of us being who we want to be. And building a roadmap for success to try to eliminate or at least reduce those behaviors seems like it'd be pretty helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of my bread and butter, my passion is helping guys with bad habits, with addictions. And so, this is the second video we've done around it, and it works really nicely with the last video we did. And now we're getting a little bit more practical. We're giving even more tools to help if you're out there and you're struggling with addictive pattern or a bad habit. So I do an activity with my clients. It's called the Circle Sheet. It's based in the 12-step program. They originally created the Circle Sheet, and so I've borrowed it and I use it oftentimes with my clients. And so to kind of like set the stage of the Circle Sheet, I'm going to royally dork out right now. So growing up, I watched a lot of Star Trek. Too much Star Trek, probably. If we're being honest.
You've got that look, Zack, like you watch Star Trek.
I do have that look, yes. And I've given this example probably 100 times with lots of different clients. And whenever I ask, did you grow up watching Star Trek? 98% of the time, They say no. To which point I die inside a little bit. I'm like, well, in spite of that, I'm moving forward with this example. I don't care what you like. This is what I like. So this is what we're talking about.
It's not about the client. It's about us.
That's right. So this is yet again me forcing Star Trek upon people. So, viewer, you are welcome. So, before we even look at the circle sheet, how does this tie in with Star Trek? So, when you're watching Star Trek, whichever series you like, or even the movies, right? They hop in their ship, they're flying through space, going where no man has gone before, right? And seeking out new life and new civilizations, right? And so oftentimes in an episode, the ship's like flying through space, life is good, they're doing their science thing, and a ship will come up in the distance, they'll see a ship far away. And so oftentimes they don't know if the ship in the distance is friend or foe. Is this an enemy or is this a buddy of ours? Potential buddy of ours, right? So the captain will say to the ensign, raise the yellow alert. Okay, and so suddenly across the whole ship, these yellow lights start to flash yellow, right? That basically just lets everyone know, hey, we're not in a battle. We're not in the thick of it quite yet, but just kind of like be alert. Like something bad could happen or it could be fine, right? And so lights are flashing. If they pull up on that other ship and the other ship raises their phasers or their photon torpedoes, then suddenly the captain looks at the ensign and says, ensign, raise the red alert, right? So now they're in battle. Now they've got a problem, right? And so the sheet we're going to go through, I'll pull it up real quick so we can all see it. So the sheet we're going to go through is kind of like this analogy where we have our outer circle. The outer circle is going where no man's gone before, seeking new life civilizations, right? So this is you living your purpose, you living the kind of life you want to live, you doing healthy activities that keep you away from that addictive pattern. The middle circle is going to be like that yellow alert that I described, that like you're not acting out, but you're setting yourself up to potentially act out. And then we have that middle circle, that red circle, that's that red alert. You're in it now, man. You're doing it. And so we're going to go through how to fill this out and how to work on this. But before we do, Mark, did you have any questions, comments, concerns?
You had me at photon torpedo. I was zoning out and then you brought me back in.
Don't make me speak Klingon, bro.
Dude.
I can't speak Klingon. I can't.
I'm not sure if you're joking or not.
I can't. I'm like mid-tier dork. Like I can't quite get myself to like showing up to Comic-Con dressed up. I'm not quite there, but like there's definitely a piece of me that wants to be that kind of person.
Well, we could do a live stream from Comic-Con at some point.
Don't do it to me,
and we could do mental health assessments on the fly, judging by people's costumes. Like, yep. Bipolar, depression, daddy issues. No.
Oh no. We might do an episode around Batman villains, and we can kind of do that. You're joking, but we could do that sort of. But yeah, man.
It's good. No, I think this is a really helpful tool. And I love, that yellow alert idea is really stuck with me now. And it kind of helps me conceptualize this. So I appreciate it.
Perfect. Well, so let's go through each of the sections. We've got our graph up here in the middle. And let's go through the different sections. And if you were a client of mine, how would I work with you? So
right.
If you take out a piece of paper, you're going to do it horizontally. You're going to draw your circles, right? And so pause the video, do that real quick, and then we'll start to fill it out. So you've got your circles going. You got your outer circle, your middle circle, your inner circle. Okay, give yourself enough room to write. What I recommend starting with is writing out 10 things that are healthy for you to do. Okay, so these, in the example we have in the middle, we have things like exercise, meditation, calling your sponsor, writing in a journal, going to a meeting, right? Going to a sobriety meeting. These are great. Mark, do you have things that you tend to recommend to clients as healthy activities that maybe they could do to keep them from moving into that yellow region?
Yeah, I mean, some of the basics, right? I mean, and these are uh, right on your list there. I mean, physical
Mm-hmm.
activity, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, people have interesting things that calm them down that might be quirky to them, right? For one guy, it might be going for a bike ride. For uh, another client, like some of our female clients, like, oh, it's just taking a bubble bath, or like
Mm-hmm.
lighting a candle,
Mm-hmm.
reading a good book. Whatever. There's lots of things, and I think we forget sometimes that if we have a go-to list and promise ourselves that, like, hey, I'm just going to work this list. If I go for my walk, if I call my friend, if I read the book, and I'm still feeling a certain way, I'm going to keep working through my list,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so part of it's that commitment to yourself that, like, I have the tools.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just stay in this outer ring and not let it get too not let it get too far gone, right?
Perfect. Perfect. Well, so if you're listening and you've made your list of 10 things, right? So like Mark said, relationships, hobbies, exercise, the variety of things that you can do. So you make your list. What we want to do is we want to circle the top two. Why? Well, there's a
Nice.
principle called the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. And essentially, the Pareto principle says that, you know, 20% of a certain population or a certain activity is going to produce 80% of the benefits. So, for instance, if you are a business owner, 20% of your clients are going to bring about 80% of the reward. You're going to see it in society. 20% of the people make 80% of the money. Um, you know, and
Right.
on your list, if you've listed out 10 things, this makes the math easy. So you pick two things. And those two things are going to do 80% of the work for you, right? So maybe
Nice.
you're a person who really loves exercise and you're like, all right, I got to make sure I'm exercising. That's going to keep me healthy. Some of you are like, I hate exercise. Like, I hate it, right? And so, like, maybe it's a hobby for you. Maybe it's hanging out with a spouse. Maybe it's hanging out with friends. Maybe it's going to your meetings. Maybe it's calling someone, right? And so you pick the two things that are going to do 80% of the work for you, but then you have the other eight things to kind of fill in that last bit to keep you sober, to keep you away from these problems, right? Now, with this sheet, I encourage people to understand that this is an organic activity, that over time you add things, right?
Sure.
I've got some people that have 20, 30, 40 things, right? And so you can continue to add things as you notice them over time, but starting with 10 is perfect. Any last thoughts before we move to the middle circle?
No, bring it on, Zach. Let's hear it.
Cool. So, middle circle is essentially the triggers. Like, what are the things that cause you to act out? So, famously, 12-step programs will talk about HALT, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So
Yep.
if one of those resonates with you, write those down. Isolation is big, right? So there's a guy named Dr. Doug Weiss who is an expert in pornography addiction. He says the opposite of addiction is connection. And I think that's
Right.
a really, really good way of thinking about it. And so notice, are you usually isolated when you're doing these activities? For some people, no. Some people, they do their addictive patterns in groups, but oftentimes for many people, it's a way to isolate. So
Right.
is it isolation? Is it procrastination? Is it stress? Is it loneliness? Like, you just, there can be a variety of things. So start paying attention to your life and say, like, when I act out, what was happening in my life? Was work stressful? Was I in a fight with my wife? Was I bored because I didn't have enough things to do that day? And so begin to list all the things in this yellow section, in this middle circle.
Nice.
Mark, let me throw it to you.
Yeah. No, that seems really helpful just to kind of know where. I mean, you're talking about creating a roadmap, and
Mm-hmm.
in a way, these kind of concentric circles are a way to kind of figure out where you are in the map, right? Where you are in
Mm-hmm.
the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting closer to falling in to that
Mm-hmm.
desire
Mm-hmm.
in a way that feels good in the moment, but then later you feel guilty, you feel frustrated, you're like, here, I did it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then there can be ramifications for our health, for our relationships with those
Mm-hmm.
behaviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
but it just seems like for a lot of the guys I work with, when it comes to addictive behavior and bad habits, there can be like almost like a trance-like autopilot quality to once they get to a certain point, whatever free will they felt like they had seems to like go out the window. And then they're just kind of, their brain is hijacking the system, and it's very hard at that point to say no to things. And so it's almost like I get the sense by thinking about these circles and being more self-aware of where you're at on that roadmap. It's almost like you have a fighting chance to move a new direction before you kind of fall off the cliff, basically.
Exactly. And so as we're moving in, so the last one is the center circle is acting out. So that's the easy one. If you're listening to this, whatever bad habit, whatever addictive pattern that you may have, just plug that into that middle circle. So that's exactly right, Mark. So like you said, that outer circle, what is the purpose of that? Well, you do these things to stay out of the yellow circle, the middle circle, right? If you then move into that middle circle, you have the outer circle activities that help to pull you out of that yellow circle, right? And so that's exactly right, Mark. So the roadmap is, hey, we're staying away from that center circle, right? In Star Trek, we're trying to stay away from that red alert, man. We're trying to stay away from battle, right? And so like, what do we got to do to move further and further away? And if we start to notice that we're moving closer towards it, right? We got our healthy activities to begin to move ourselves back out. So we've got one more thing to cover that is my addition to the circle sheet that I think people are going to enjoy. But before I do that, Mark, I think you had a couple words to say.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say as we're kind of closing down on our time, if you've enjoyed our conversation, just know that we're always here for a free consult. We provide that for guys who are interested in getting some more support at escapethecagenow.com. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, feel free to comment. You have my permission to unleash yourself on Zack with your favorite part of Star Trek, or how offended you were that he didn't think you could subscribe in 3 seconds, let alone by the end of the podcast. So prove him wrong. That's what I have to say.
Right, and I will comment back. So.
I think the only thing I'd say too, Zack, would it be fair to say that this last thing that you're going to provide would be something that could help the listener to live long and prosper?
Oh my gosh, man. I feel so icky. So I've had clients tell me that, and I'm like, how do we define icky? We define it by how I feel right now. So kind of I think a nice addition to this, and it's gonna kind of, if it feels kind of Jordan Peterson-esque, it's because I probably stole it from Jordan Peterson, but I'm gonna take credit for it. So what you're gonna do outside of the circle is you're gonna have a little category up at the top, and you're gonna put heroes and in parentheses why. Okay. What I encourage you to do is to think through the different people that you're drawn to for some reason. So it can be a family member, like it could be your dad. It could be an uncle. It could be a brother. It could also be famous people. Like if you're watching, I know Mark has talked about Jocko Willink a lot. We've talked about Jordan Peterson. I have pastors like Timothy Keller who, I've looked up to and learned from. And so you make your list of people. It also, they don't have to be real life people. They can also be Batman. Like,
you're right. Yeah.
And why are you drawn to Batman? Why are you John? We had a video on John Wick. Why are we like drawn to John Wick? Like, what is that about? Right. And so you list the people that you look up to in some way, and then you ask yourself why. So take out all the elements that you don't like about them, that you may disagree with them on their politics, or you may disagree with them on their morals, but like, what is it that draws you to that person? Is it that they're good with business? Is it that they are very moral? Is it their spiritual life? Is it they're a good father or good family member, right? And so you ask yourself, why am I drawn to them? And how did they get that way, right? So if you're a fan of Jordan Peterson, he's got a book list. He's like, if you want to know the stuff I know, here's the list of books. Okay, so now we take that book list and we put it in our outer circle activities, right? So now you got a new activity. Read Jordan Peterson's book list. If it's a spiritual person and they say, well, the way that I got the spiritual is I pray in the morning for 15 minutes. I pray at night for 15 minutes. I make sure I'm reading at least a verse a day. You're like, okay, I'm going to set that goal for myself. And you put it in that outer activity, right? And so you figure out what are the steps that this person became the way they are, this person you look up to. And now you have additional things to put in your outer circle activities. Okay. So what you're going to do, you're right now, if you're looking to practice this, you're going to get that piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, turn it horizontal. You're going to draw your circles. You're going to make your list of healthy activities, the triggers that could lead you to addictive patterns. You're going to list your addictive patterns in the middle. And then on the outside, you're going to list your heroes, why they're your heroes, and how did they get there, right? And then you can continue to fill in that outer circle. There you have it.
That's cool. I love it. Zack, thank you so much for that's such a helpful, practical way to think about addiction, bad habits, building a roadmap, creating a roadmap to hopefully stay out of the yellow alert and then the red alert, and to hopefully just live a happier, more peaceful, more purposeful life. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? For what we do, why we do it. It just is such a joy to see other brothers, our fellow lions out there who are just wanting to be better husbands, better dads, better leaders. And these little infusions of tactical wisdom that we try to throw out there every Tuesday. We just hope it's a blessing to you guys, and hope you have a great week. Thanks again, Zack.
Sure thing. All right, bye everybody.